Howdy. This is Mission Texas,
a political podcast about winning Texas by 2032, or else we may lose the White House for a generation.
I'm one of your hosts, Alex Clark.
And I am Kate Rumsey.
Other podcasts may focus on the day-to-day or the next election, but we are keeping the eyes of Texas on the bigger prize. What happens after the next census?
We've heard that if Tarrant County flips to Democrat, then so goes the state of Texas. So I am very interested in talking to our next guest, Allison Campolo, the chair of the Tarrant County Democrats. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really pleased to be able to join you.
Sorry, I was just going to say, for the geographically challenged, when we say Tarrant County, let's orient our listeners who might not all understand that we're talking about like the area around Fort Worth, but you explain more. That's not just Fort Worth, right?
No, but that is the seat of our major city here in Tarrant County. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because the name of the county is not really relatable to the cities here for most people. So Fort Worth's our biggest city, followed closely by Arlington, who I think a lot of people would know about Arlington, given all the sports that go on in Arlington for us. And then we have a lot of other wonderful municipalities, but we'll leave it at Fort Worth and Arlington to orient folks. Gives them a good idea.
Yeah, and I was going to say that we're recording on a Friday night, so I appreciate you, Allison. We're all parents here, so if you hear a young one, that's what's going on. But I know that you recently were elected to be chair this summer. Can you give us a sense of where you've come from before that? Like, how did you get into the chair position?
Yes. Okay. So it actually starts a little farther back than that. So I was one of those people that got really inspired by the election of Donald Trump before. So I came from a political background. My dad is a judge in Dallas County, and I've been political my whole life. But when Trump got elected the first time, I felt really called to personally put my hat in the ring. So I ran for state senate here in Tarrant County, and I lost. But I lost to an amazing candidate who was Beverly Powell in the SD 10 election. She flipped that seat that year. And because I lost the primary, I got the chance to run the coordinated campaign for the county. And I felt really good about that. And I really enjoyed that experience. So I launched a countywide voter registration, voter activation initiative called Tarrant Together in 2019. And this is largely because Tarrant County actually has the lowest voter participation of any urban county in the United States. Beto O'Rourke likes to say about Texas, it's not a red state, it's a non-voting state. And that is exactly the same thing for Tarrant County. We are right in line with that saying really here in Tarrant County. So anyway, registered a lot of voters in the 2020 cycle. In 2021, our county chair stepped away. And so I ran for chair then, and I became the chair of the Tarrant County Democratic Party from 2021 to 2023. In 2023, after municipal elections, I took a little break, focused on local elections around me here in HEB and Hurst Bedford, just helping get city councilors elected, working on school bond issues. And then I got really reactivated in countywide politics thanks to our county judge, Tim O'Hare, who people, I think, in our Metroplex surely know. Yeah, but across Texas, I think now has a known name too. So I got really active with the Tarrant County Commissioner's Court redistricting, the big racial gerrymander they did here between April and June. And then it just so happened that our county chair happened to resign 2 days before the big vote at Commissioner's Court. And so I got home from that brutal day at Commissioner's Court, 7 hours of testimony, like our Tim O'Hare just being awful to our commissioners. And I was like, screw it. I'm throwing my hat back in the ring. We have to get these people out. Like, I know I can do this job. Let's get it done. There's nothing more important than flipping this county, saving the state, saving this country, and Tarrant County is how we do that. And so I jumped back in and got reelected in July, and here I am.
Okay, so can we translate just a little bit for the uninitiated? First, when we say Tarrant County judge, we don't mean an actual judicial officer. This is not an officer of the court. They're not wearing robes and making those kinds of rulings. This is like the mayor of the county, basically, right?
That's a great analogy. Yes. So he's kind of the king over the commissioner's court. Every county commissioner, and the commissioner's court, for those who don't know, because it is unfortunately a fairly niche topic. The commissioner's court votes on things like the tax rate in the county, kind of oversees the county-run hospital, makes sure we get our roads fixed that are countywide, runs the sheriff's office. So all the countywide services are run by our commissioners because it doesn't belong to a single city. And so we have a lot of counties. We have 4 commissioners that kind of divide they used to divide the county up into quadrants, and now it's totally gerrymandered and gross, but it used to be in quadrants. And then the judge has a countywide seat.
And so My memory is that Beto has flipped Tarrant County, at least in one of his races.
Yeah.
And that also Joe Biden in 2020?
Yeah, so we've had a really good run of years. So your memory's exactly right. 2018, Beto carried the county when he ran against Ted Cruz. And then in 2020, Biden carried the county against Trump. And in 2022, we didn't have a countywide flip, but we did flip a really important state house seat, which was State District 92. And that's when we elected our first Muslim American to the state house, was right here in Tarrant County. And we held on to all the flips that we made in 2018, which is also really, really, we were so excited about that. And then in 2024, Colin Allred carried the county when he ran against Ted Cruz. So this is not a red county. You know, people like to say it's red, and it's just not. It's very purple. It could easily flip all the way to Democrat anytime.
Okay, but so is it still? And I promise I'll stop my string of questions here.
Good.
Is it still the lowest turnout of any urban county?
I think so, and it is improving. You know, it is going up. We are making a difference. Yes, the trend line's in the right direction, but the last time I checked, we are still the lowest of any urban county in the United States. And I would like that to be wrong. I hope that's wrong. And I hope that's not true by 2026, but that is, the trend's in the right direction, but I believe it's still true.
Yeah, I mean, so you're going back to what you mentioned earlier, that if we can flip Tarrant, we can flip Texas. And if we flip Texas, we can save our country, hopefully, which is what our entire podcast is about. But it also feels very on brand of us as Texans to feel like, yes, we're going to save the country, and we're going to here in North Texas in Tarrant County, and I love it. Or is it the hubris of Texans, or is this our Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope era? Is that what we're going for right now with Tarrant County?
Well, you know, I'm a scientist by day. I'm only a chair by hobby because they don't pay me to do chair stuff. But so I'll say it's not... it's nothing but math, right? So like I know it sounds hyperbolic to say, you know, Tarrant County or Texas could save the country. But it's true. I mean, if you look at I'm sorry, I have dogs barking. If you look at the electoral math of the state, I mean, we obviously will carry the country in whichever direction we go. And then when you look at the Tarrant County turnout, this is where the magic happens. So a lot of the counties that surround us that are especially Democratic leaning, like Dallas, Harris, Travis, they already are kind of at a high, not like supremely high. There's always more Democrats to find, but they're at a high turnout rate already. Whereas Tarrant County, because people have said we're red county for so long, because we've been historically underinvested in, we have tons of Democrats who just aren't contacted, and they're just sitting around waiting to be activated. And that means we have so much potential, and every dollar goes such a long way, because you can knock on every door in a block and you're hitting Democrats. We don't even have to persuade a single Republican. And this county could flip big if we can invest in Democrats like they should be invested in. And if we get that many Democrats out to vote in Tarrant, that flips the state. That carries the state. The math is here. We just have to find the people.
So then how would you describe the organizing in Tarrant County? Because we're hearing from Kendall Scudder, our chair of the Texas State Party, that we need precinct chairs, we need county. Obviously, we have a county chair in you, but what are you needing as far as organization to get people to knock on doors?
So really just investment at every level. So like I said a second ago, we've had historically underinvested in Democrats in Tarrant County, right? So when people keep saying it's red, then nobody invests monetarily or time-wise or in infrastructure. It just goes undone. And so Democratic infrastructure just goes it just goes empty. And so we finally have a chance to bring that up, and it is coming up. So the things that we need, I mean, obviously money helps, right? That means we get to put mails in people's boxes. We get to buy ads on radio and TV. It means we can communicate with the voting population we need to communicate with. But, you know, on the other side is the volunteer activist activation, really. So we're on our way up with precinct chairs, but we need at least 300 more, which sounds insane to say, but it's true. And we need, more volunteers. We need more activists in every part of the county. We have 41 municipalities here. We need to work. We just need more of people talking to their neighbors. That's how we get this done, is relational organizing. And yeah, I can block walk and mail people and text them, but nothing is as impactful as us talking to our neighbors, as talking to your PTA or your Boy Scout troop or your church group or whatever it is. That's where the impact happens. And that's the investment we need, is people talking about it.
All right. So make the pitch. Assume you have 300 people in Tarrant County listening to us right now. They've all gathered in a room. They're sharing one speaker on Spotify, and they're going to hear you explain to them why they can do this job, even if they're parents like us and they have a busy work life. And why is it that they can actually be qualified and able to do the job?
I love that question because so many people think they are not qualified to be precinct chairs, and so they don't sign up. And I absolutely am so grateful for this question. So anybody can be a precinct chair. Your only qualification is, are you willing to talk to your neighbors? Will you knock on their door or give that phone call or, set up a house party so your neighbors can come meet you? That's all it needs. And the party will train you to do the rest. And I'm sure I speak for the other county parties when I say the county party is happy to train you and give you all the materials you need. Certainly the Tarrant County Democratic Party is. We will give you step-by-step instructions and every piece of literature you need. But all you need to do is be willing to talk to your neighbors on your street and on the street over. And that's it. And so anybody could become a precinct chair. And this is where the magic happens. This is how we win elections, is talking to our neighbors.
And you can't be worse than an empty seat.
Exactly. No kidding. Yes. Everybody can do this. If you talk to just 5 people, great. That's effort. That's, more than 0. I'm into it.
That's right.
Well, so on that though, I've heard so many people when I go to groups and I'll say, okay, and I've said this on the other podcast episodes, but I want to hear your answer, which is people don't want to block walk. They don't want to go knock on doors. They're like, Kate, I'll do anything else. I'll go write postcards. I'll go text. And they're like, I'm like, you just told me you thought fascism is on the rise. You don't want to go knock on a door. So what do you say to that? Like, how do you respond?
It's so funny. It reminds me of like a very common like trope in stand-up comedy where they'll say like, look, I hate breast cancer, but I'm not running 5K.
Yes.
Right.
Can I write a check?
Hey, I'll take that check because I can turn that check into doors knocked. So whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, so block walking is, of course, our number one best thing we can do to turn out the counties for Democrats between here and the midterms. But there's so many levels of effort. There's tons of different ways to engage. So, of course, phone banking is really helpful. People are pretty overstimulated on text messages and social media, but postcard writing is helpful. And then we also have tons of jobs. And I know, again, I'm sure I'm speaking for every other organization and county party out there, but there's tons of jobs you can do that are helpful, but not quite on the scene. So like if we need you to pull a phone call list for somebody else to call those people, or if we need you to go put push pins on a map so we know which precincts to hit, there's tons of small jobs that we need that help run the county party. And they are important jobs. They're just not the sexy in your face ones, but they are critical. And I think there's a lot of people who are nervous or introverted or haven't done this before who might find a easier time getting into politics for the first time or becoming an activist for the first time by holding a sign on a bridge or pulling that call time list or coming and helping us color maps to give out to volunteers or whatever it is. We have so many behind the scenes jobs that help us inadvertently knock those doors in the end of the day.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, my wife, she wants to help. She wants to do all the things. She's just her heart is in the right place, but she's got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. She's not knocking doors. It's just not happening. But she enters all the data in for her Moms Demand Action group. She does what she can with the bandwidth she has.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly right. It's like, do we need data entry people? Absolutely, we need data entry people. And if that's something you do between 9:30 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. when your brain's trying to decompress from your long day and your million children, definitely, we'll take it.
So going back to your history, though, as a candidate and chair before and chair now, have you seen things evolve or change in the county, other than just not talking to Democrats? Is there anything else that's affecting the county that is showing that lower voter turnout? So, of course, the historic underinvestment in our infrastructure is big. But yeah, I mean, there's always other issues. And I think there's, one thing they always talk about, and I know this is true in many places, but one thing they talk about in Tarrant is people have often felt like we have tons of clubs, which is wonderful. So people feel like our clubs and our community leaders and our party and the candidates and the elected officials are all siloed and not communicating with each other, and that really hinders collaboration and efficient effort. And they're right. It has historically been like that. But I will tell you that in reference to your question is this is so much better than it used to be. People are collaborating organically so much better than they used to be. And I see so much less infighting and so much less nitpicking and so much more willingness to get along no matter what. And and some of this is very intentional. I think some people are working really hard. I definitely want this to be the case. And I really try to foster collaborative environments and relationships. And I think that folks are seeing the magic of
the wisdom in something that Republicans do, which is the unity. So like, after every horrible primary, after every Angela Paxton versus whoever finds primary, which is brutal and awful, they unify immediately. The day after the primary, they're all in on whoever the winner is. And that's something that Democrats can do better at. And I want to keep talking about, we own this culture. We are in charge of how unified we are. We all are in charge of that. Nobody else is in charge of that. They can't tell us how to be. And so if we commit to being unified, then we will be. And we just have to keep spreading that message. Like, I know your favorite candidate didn't win the primary. That's okay. They are so many leagues better than the fascists running against them. And we just need to band together. And I think I am seeing an upswing of that behavior, of that unity and that collaboration. And I hope that continues to increase through the midterms.
Well, it's a mission mindset, right? There's a bigger goal here. It's not about one person. It's about the overall effort. I think that's important. I mean, the old line is that Democrats fall in love and Republicans fall in line.
That's a great line. I don't know if I've heard that or if I forgot it, but that's a great line. And I hope, I want to, we can still love our candidates. We just need to, love the winners too, of our primaries.
Well, it's interesting because I think the observation I also had was that we're very decentralized in this state, that our counties are far apart, especially the big urban ones. And also our groups, especially in North Texas, are divided by geography. And I do wonder, how do we unify? Who is the unifier? Do you see that as your role as the chair of Tarrant County?
Definitely. I definitely take some ownership of that. And I think every county chair and county party should own some of that. And I look at it two ways that are maybe in conflict, but maybe not, which is, yes, we should be trying to bring us together and increase that collaboration and the communication. On the other hand, I have a tremendous amount of respect for everyone working in their area and running their own race. So, if we have 41 municipalities and all these school boards and all these geographical areas and neighborhoods and interest groups in Tarrant County, we have so many groups, and that's important. So whether you're finding a local Democratic group because it's close to you, or because, you're LGBTQ and you want to go to the Stonewall Dems, or it speaks to your community in the South Side where we have a larger African-American population, whoever it is that's speaking to your things that are important to you or is close to your house, that's important. And those groups are good. Like, that's what we need them for, is to speak to their communities and work towards those issues that are important. And then, we just have to find that common ground in the between time to work together and pull in the same direction. And the same thing for the candidates. Every candidate has to run their own race and speak to the issues important to that race or to their area. And then the county party, I think, is just responsible for kind of tying all those ends together and giving a vision to the county that we all go in the same direction instead of do our own thing.
I mean, inherently, the Democratic Party is harder to wrangle, harder to...
We're a very big tent.
Singing from the same sheet of music because we're a big tent, geographically different, racially, religiously, class. I mean, it's just kind of all over the map. It is, I would imagine, a lot easier if you were suddenly to wake up in bizarro world and now you are the chair of the Republican Party and your job is to get all of them aligned. I feel like that job would be easier.
Yeah. You say this, you say abortion, immigration, taxes, you're done. That's your whole messaging. You're done if you're Republican, right? But for us, we have every other single issue plus those three that are important to us. And that's hard to message. I mean, everybody's always, for years, I know you guys know that everybody's like, the Democratic Party is not good at messaging. And like, they are right. Yes, they're right. However, we have such a harder job because we're dealing with the entire everything instead of a minutia little list that's an extremist agenda, It's not easy, but we'll get there.
I mean, speaking of, do you see messaging as something that is different in Tarrant County versus other areas of the state or wherever you've been? I mean, are there issues that are top of mind that you say, we got to talk about this in Tarrant County?
Yes and no. So I'd say our brand of Democrat is different. If you go to Portland or something, it's going to be a different kind of Democrat. The things you talk about are going to be different, and that's cool. That's fine. But then at the end of the day, it's the same thing, right? We want good public education. We want healthcare that's accessible. We want, maternity mortality rates to not be skyrocketing. Basics, we want to feel safe in the school pickup line without getting profiled by ICE, whatever it is. Those are the basics. And I don't think those things change county to county or state to state. Those are the same. I think the difference here in Texas and also in Fort Worth, where we breed a lot of extremists this is the testing ground for horrible things that happen in Texas. They do it here in Tarrant County first, very intentionally. I think that's the only thing that changes is because and I know that the other Texans feel this too. We often feel like we're fighting for our lives. Like there's no books in our kids' classrooms. People are getting raided by ICE all the time. We don't have any health care. It goes on and on and on. Right. And so I think that sets us apart maybe from other Democrats in other places of the country, just because I want to say the word desperate. I don't want to use the word desperate, but it does feel desperate. It does feel desperate, doesn't it? And so that is something I think we talk about a little bit more as Texan Democrats versus other places.
Well, drawing on the lessons that we've gotten from some of our previous guests, I think we got to create kind of a sense that we're the Democratic Party, PARTY, because I gotta, right? Like it should be a fun thing. If we're giving off the desperate stank, no one wants to be a part of that. It's like, oh, those Democrats can't get their shit together. They're weird. I don't want to be with them. I might vote for them, but I'm not going to identify. So we gotta create this joy and winning pluck attitude, but also, and this is something Kendall said in our first episode with a guest, is that we have to give them something worth voting for. Like we are busy people. Our lives are hard. To make the effort to, whether it's to block walk or to enter data or just to make the time to go and vote, like to what end? Like what is the animating thing? And I know that's more of a question for candidates than a party chair, but I wonder if you have views on like, what is it that we need to be doing to give that sense of, this is going to matter for me in like materially in my life?
Yeah, and I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking it as you started this thought was, I was sitting there like a foot away from Bernie Sanders and Kendall Scudder when they came to Fort Worth on their Fighting Oligarchy tour, and they said the same thing, right? And they're so right. They're so right that like we can't just be against Republicans or against Trump or against MAGA. We have to be for things, and that is absolutely true. And so then I think the challenge on candidates and on the parties and the organizations is to find a balance, because we need to be talking about things we're for, yes, and that is a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things we need to be doing, and that are good things to talk about. But we also can't stop calling out the injustices that are happening now, right? We can't like give away our airtime so that it seems like we're not complicit, but we're not calling out like, this is crazy. Like you can't have the National Guard marching on Chicago. Like this is wild. And so like if I'm trying personally, and I'm sure other people are too, and I don't have a perfect answer to this, but like I'm trying to find that balance between like, okay, this is actually fascism, and we need to be talking about that, and other people need to recognize how dire this is. And also, here is what we could be doing and should be doing, and what you should vote for and why you should vote for us, which is, healthcare, immigration, whatever, all the things that we need to do, books in our schools, my kid being able to be called by their nickname if they want to, whatever it is. We have so many things to vote for that are, normal kitchen table, bread and butter issues that we need to talk about. And so we try to find that line between, and also the line of like, okay, we'll do this, please give me money. And also here's another event to go to, and, all the other communication things that we do too. And I think finding that line is tough. And I hope every party chair and every candidate is able to like guide, navigate that fine line.
Yeah, it's a crazy time, and we got to talk about the crazy stuff. I mean, even the governor of Oklahoma, a Republican, has spoken up and said, look, if J.B. Pritzker had sent the Illinois National Guard to Oklahoma during the Biden years, we would have all lost our minds, right? Like, this isn't normal. And so I appreciate the governor speaking up, and you got to speak up. I mean, these are not normal times. At the same token, though, we gotta win. we gotta win power. And what I like about this podcast, as opposed to others and other shows on TV, is that while they're typically saying, "Oh, did you see what Trump said today? Oh, do you see what he did this time?" We're really trying to step back, widen the aperture a bit, and say, "Okay, what are we doing here? What's the big picture? Because if we don't get this figured out by the next census, we're going to have, this will be the new normal." Right now, it feels very not normal, but by then, and then going forward, this is what we can expect. And I don't want to be expecting this. I don't want my kids to grow up like this. And so we got to figure out how to win.
Yeah. And it's money and effort. I think that's the magic sauce, right? And obviously messaging. I mean, we need to connect.
And not to be glib, but it's vibe.
Yes.
Whenever I was a senior in high school, I mentioned to you, I think before we started recording, that Kendall and I were East Texas Obama boys, right? When I was in high school, I skipped class to go to Reunion Arena to hear Barack Obama speak. I drove an hour from Sherman, Texas, and I was standing there in the stands next to total strangers, but it felt like one big party, and I was a part of something huge and new and different, and we were going to change the country, and we were going to pass healthcare reform, and we were going to, hope and change, right? Like, that was an exciting time. And again, I was not a voter. That was the first time voting. My family wasn't political. Like, that's the kind of thing that activates people who are not currently already in the fight. And we got to get them all into the mission here.
And that's part of the magic of Beto's first run, right? I mean, he carried that on for his other runs, but I mean, that was part of the big magic. Was he would, just like you're saying, like he would turn out, he would just show up in a field. I mean, he'd be Facebook living all day, right? And so everybody knew where he was because they were following him in his truck while he ate his granola bar or whatever. And then he'd show up in a field, and then there's magically 300 people watching him stand in a field with a megaphone. And like, that's exactly right. That's the energy that we need. And the vibe is exactly right. That's a great way to put it.
But I mean, we can't always wait though for that candidate. Like, we're not always going to have a Beto. And like, do we need to wait for the exciting candidate? And what I harp on every episode is that in 2028, we are not going to have a top of the ticket in the state. Like, we are going to have the presidential race and we're going to have congressionals. So what are we going to do? I mean, I want vibes. I'm hoping we have a great Democratic nominee in our presidential races and obviously in our congressionals, but that's redistrict. So, or maybe, I don't know, given the litigation, but I mean, what are we going to do? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that long term for Tarrant County on how we're going to create that vibe or win by 2028, 2030?
That's an amazing question, especially about the lack of a statewide candidate. Well, we'll have statewide candidates, but it just won't be a big top race. Governor won't be on the ballot. Senate won't be on the ballot. Right. Amazing question.
Just the presidential ticket will be the only statewide election we'll have in 2028, right?
What a weird...
every so often this happens. There's a gap.
So unusual. But I'd say, to your point about not every candidate can be that way, it doesn't, well, I guess I have two thoughts, which is it doesn't matter to me that somebody is necessarily statewide, but like the thing that I hear a lot of people talk about when they're talking about they're considering their next Senate candidate, next gubernatorial candidate, they just want, and this is what Beto did so well, was they just want somebody to show up. Like, they don't particularly need you to be a rock star in a box or anything, but they just want to know that you're there for them, which means physically being there. And in a state as big as Texas, that's horrifically difficult. I definitely give them that. 254 counties is not easy. Over 30 million people, not easy. Nonetheless, that's the challenge, right? Is showing up. And so I think just showing up goes so far that even if you're not perfectly charismatic, that's okay. Like, they just want to know you're there for them. And then my other thought on that is like, man, don't we even non-statewide, don't we have some Texas rock stars though? Like, wouldn't you do anything for Jasmine Crockett right now? Like, I mean, we have so many rock stars right here in Texas who are making national headlines, and like, it's if it's just I think if just Jasmine just stayed in, if she ended up staying in her congressional seat, I don't know what her plans are, but if she stays there and in 2028 she's running for the same seat again, like so charismatic, so interesting, so I'm so willing to come to a fundraiser, go to an event. And so if we keep getting candidates like this, even local ones, new ones that are willing to show up, willing to say what needs to be said, when it needs to be said, I think we're okay. I think we'll get the vibe. Yeah,
and I think there is a trend amongst seat flippers, the people I'm most interested in talking to on this podcast, as far as elected officials go, where whenever they took a seat that was currently held by a Republican, the way they took it was they were very present in the district physically. Like, they saw the full parameters. If you're like James Tallarico, right? Like, you walked literally the entire geography of your district. Nearly killed himself doing it because he didn't know he had diabetes at the time. But,
nonetheless, pretty fun.
but it shows like a commitment, right? And that's what I think people appreciated so much about Beto, especially in his statewide runs. But here's the thing, like even after his statewide runs, the man continues to show up.
Still out there.
And you will never get a bad word about Beto out of me ever, because every time he's run for office statewide, he's come to Sherman, Texas, where I'm from.
That's
and
awesome.
Nobody goes to Sherman.
Right.
And I think that's great.
Right. Super cool. And to your point, I mean, the second he lost his bid for the U.S. Senate in 2018, he launched Powered by People. And he's constantly working for the betterment of the state, whether or not he's the face, whether or not it's about him. And it's not. It's about the greater good. And that's the kind of candidate we need. Is it's about the greater good. And yes, this candidate's running to be the face or voice of that, or the pen that signs legislation. But nonetheless, it's here for the bigger picture. And
it should inspire all of us to be like that too. Like Beto didn't have to have a race that he was campaigning for to do the work. We can all do the work without a race. So when 2028 rolls around, well, we can focus on the presidential, but we also don't have to. Like, we can just focus on us.
Yes. We have so much power here. And I think that's the other thing, too, in Tarrant County is, and one of our lessons is like, every Democrat in Tarrant thinks they're the only Democrat in Tarrant. And so that's why I keep talking about, and that depresses the vote, because you don't think there's no point, right? It's so much voter apathy because you don't think there's any point. And so I think the more that we talk about it, and that's why I'm always harping on this, like, you have to talk about it. You have to make it not weird anymore, because Republicans passed that line 30 years ago. They talk about it all the time. They don't care who's listening. They'll talk about it all the time. We have to get there and talk about it for exactly the reasons is we can all do the work. We can all own our piece. If it's 30 minutes a week of whatever, putting stamps on a postcard or doing data entry or talking to your neighbors at PTA, if that's what you can contribute, or sharing on Facebook, whatever, we can all own the future of our democracy and still maintain our lifestyles. I understand not everyone wants to actually be in politics. That's fine. But freedom isn't actually free. It requires maintenance. And we're all here to do that work. We need to own that we're responsible for it if we want that. And I think the more we talk about the culture of it, I think the better it'll get.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, we can have fun. I know I went to an event in East Tarrant. It was a women's luncheon with a congressional candidate, and it was so much fun. I didn't realize how many Democrats and women, and I'm in Capel, so I'm more close, I feel like, to Tarrant County than a lot of the Democratic organizations. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to Tarrant County because it seems fun out here. They're talking about brunch. They're going to go get mimosas. I was like, this is great. I want to go with these ladies. But I know you're a mom, and we all have kids, and you're a candidate. One of my pet projects on this podcast is to figure out how to elect more people like you and working class people who've got kids, because it is hard, right? Like, it's hard to run, do a job, and have kids at the same time. And you talk about Beto and all the people going statewide. I would think how could I do that? I don't know if I could because of what I've got going on at home. So how are you doing it right now, Allison? I see you everywhere. I mean, you're at school board meetings, commissioner's court. You're at a fundraiser. By the way, follow Allison on social media because it's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very sweet. And I'm really glad that you're kind of bringing light to this and making it a constant concerted effort, because it is important. And I love it when I see other really popular social media channels that are Moms for Politics or whatever. I love that. The first answer is I have a wonderful husband who's putting together to bed one of my very tantruming children right now. So, having a village is really helpful, because it's not just him, but I'm so grateful to have a few friends, a few family members who can step in as needed, which is wonderful. Yeah, and I can't make that happen for other people. So my next point is and my kids are still little; they're 1, 2, and 4, so they're not always includable. But
wow, Allison,
yeah, I can't stand Tim O'Hare, so I'm back anyway. So the other part is I try to include my kids when I can, and so not just because it's convenient, but also because they want to be involved in your life and they want to know what you're doing and they want to get involved with that. And it's okay if they decide they don't agree with you politically later on, but they want to be included in what you're doing as a parent. They just like to hang out with you, right? And then thirdly, it actually opens doors for you. Bit literally, if you take your 4-year-old on a block walk with you, watch how many doors will open. And obviously you want to be safe and you want to do the right thing and everything, but try it. Like, try including kids in politics. And it's not always simple. It is hard. I'm not going to say it's not hard, because it is hard, but like, it is doable. And I think there's a lot of ways and reasons it actually makes it better to go ahead and include them as possible. And then the last part is just like, we as organizers, as the party, as candidates, as community activists can always try to be more mindful of this, of inclusivity when we're putting together events. So like, look, like, I know I like to go to a 9 p.m. event at a bar, maybe, but like, you need to have a lot of events that are kid friendly, family friendly. If you look at like the Tarrant County, is the Northeast Tarrant Tea Party, whatever their current version of that is. And I was looking at their website once, and they're like, okay, do you want to sign up to volunteer? And, here's the jobs you can do. And a lot of it was normal stuff. They're like, you can put stamps on, or you can take meeting minutes at the meeting. Legit, they had several different kinds of signups for watching other people's kids during the meeting. They make their meetings so family friendly, very intentionally. And that is so smart.
Very
and
smart.
We need to get there. And like, and if who doesn't want to just come watch somebody's kid while everybody else does what you politically think is right? Like, so fun, right? Like, we know so many people who would do that job. And so we need to be that intentional about including people and being inclusive with our own community. I know we talk about inclusivity in so many ways, but parenting is not really one of them. And I'm so glad that you're bringing this up.
That's a huge untapped potential for the party.
Such a good idea.
I mean, I remember how thrilled I was. Guys, do y'all know about YMCA Child Watch?
No.
Okay, I'm a free advertisement for the YMCA real quick, y'all. You can go to the YMCA and they will watch your children for 90 minutes.
For free?
Yeah, it's part of your membership.
Oh, that is
and you can do this as many times as you want. It pays for itself so fast.
No kidding.
Yeah. And like, you can go and do a workout class. You can go and lift weights in the gym. You can go take a shower. Like sometimes, especially in the early days of child, like when you have a child, like just to go get a shower,
yes,
like,
big, big. Oh
huge.
Yes. Oh my God.
And the idea you can work out, or if you don't want to work out, you can sit in the cafe and have a coffee,
That's
okay. On your laptop, like,
how much a membership are we talking about? How much a membership is? It like $4,000 a month? I bet it's like 30.
No, it's like $100 or something. And because I'm former military, I'm paying like $80-something a month.
Nice. And I mean,
it's so affordable.
It's regular even drop-in childcare has got to be like $20 an hour or something, or for a babysitter.
Yeah, easy,
right? Like,
easy $20 an hour. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it pays for itself so fast.
Use YMCA to go block walk.
Yeah.
No. So listen, time out. You cannot leave the YMCA whenever you drop your child off. You have to stay on the premises.
That's funny. You could park your kid there while you go get on a computer and like,
but you could exactly,
or write your postcard.
You could do data entry, or you could make phone calls, or whatever you phone bank, whatever you got to do.
That's really cool. Good to know. See, anyway, so I love this conversation because it's reminding me that I should do this in the party. I need to get more volunteers. So we're like childminders. That'd be amazing.
Well,
you can trailblaze this, the pilot program and expand it nationally. If it can work in Tarrant, it can happen anywhere.
Right. And Tarrant County can do it. Come on. Yes.
Well, and Alex and I met a lot of times at events because we were the only ones with kids. And it was like our daughters just running around. And I always felt like people were like looking at me like I'm a weirdo. And I'm like, how else am I going to be at this event? I don't have any other choice. Like, what do you want? Yeah. And it does feel like sometimes.
You're so right that they want to be with us.
Yes. They just want to hang out with you. And eventually it might get boring if it's whatever. But like, they just want to see what you're doing, be part of your life. It doesn't have to be riveting. It's okay.
Yeah. And I love all the groups. Like there's so many groups and I wish I could go to all their events, but usually it's like a Tuesday night or a Thursday at 7 or 8 o'clock and it's virtually impossible. And I'm so sorry to all those that tell me I need to go. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like as working parents, and that's why this podcast was created really because we're trying to meet people where they're at. Maybe it's not at a meeting, but they're going to get the same information probably that they would at a meeting and hopefully more. But my hope is to make people feel that they're not alone, that if they're a blue dot in an area and they got kids and they're busy, they can still like use whatever time they have at night on their couch instead of doom scrolling, they can go do something.
How many postcards have I written at 9 p.m.? Because that's when I'm like finally just decompressing and I just want to write my postcards or whatever. The other thing I do, and this might be crazy, so maybe don't repeat it, but like, the other thing I do, which I've done since the other thing I've done since I was chair the first time, and which I still do now, is I take a ton of meetings while I'm driving to and from work. So like, obviously it's just on the phone. I'm not looking at anything. I'll make somebody else drive a Zoom, or I'll just make somebody do my dialer for me if I'm doing call time. But like, if a reporter wants to talk to me, I make them call me at 7:30 in the morning while I'm on my way to work, and they do. And then I do my call time for fundraising or work or party meetings in my car on my way home from work. And like, you got to make your time work for you. And if people want you to run for office to save the world or to run your organization, then they need to like meet you where you're at. And sometimes that's in the car, like doing the meetings on the go. And I think, as I hate that. I kind of hate hustle culture because it's like the degradation of everything that makes us human. But in the short term of us trying to save the world, sometimes it's necessary. And I think we can make it happen, No,
it's really efficient, really smart. I mean, you're already going to be driving anyways.
Exactly. I'm already in the car. Yeah.
To Kate's point, though, we want people to feel educated, probably more educated than they would if they actually did attend those late night meetings. So if you're a Tarrant County listener and you just heard the name Tim O'Hare for the first time, what do they need to know about this man? Give them the full download. Spare no detail. Educate them. Yeah, spill some tea.
He was gifted to us from Farmers Branch, where he instituted such horrifically unpopular policies trying to basically be racist, that he bankrupted the city because they kept getting sued over it. So I think it was like $6 million in lawsuits. And then he left and came to here. And so he was the chair of our Tarrant County Republican Party for a bit. And then he ran for county judge. And, I've heard that he was so horrible to even other candidates in his county judge race that most of them won't ever get back in politics because he was so brutal, so personal on a level that is like, there's an unspoken rule about how personal you should get in a political race, even though we're all out to win, even though people attack each other. Some of it's like off the table, And so he was just absolutely brutal. Now he's been the county judge here, and he maybe the one thing that speaks most to his character is his rules of decorum. So he it used to be at Tarrant County Commissioners Court. You could sign up as you walked into the room, as is true for many public meetings by governmental entities, that you can fill out your slip and sign it in, come in, as you come in the room, you can fill it out. And he not only did away with that, but you have to sign up to speak, I think at least 24 hours in advance, and then it cuts off before the meeting. And they only post the agenda at Friday, 5 p.m. And then so that's the calendar. They post the agenda Friday at 5 p.m. That's the only when you can start signing up is when they post the agenda. And then they cut off the speaker sign up Monday, 5 p.m. So you get one business day to sign up to speak. And then the meeting starts at 10 a.m. the next day. So he's completely reduced even just the accessibility of speaking in his court. I mean, he blatantly does not want you to come. And then he instituted these things called rules of decorum, which if you ever want to include these in your podcast later or for a social clip, you absolutely should, because they are absolutely against your First Amendment rights, like for sure. He has said things in there that are against the Open Meetings Act, against the First Amendment rights. And so he basically says you can't clap, you can't whistle, you can't speak, you can't do anything. You may bring an 8.5 by 11 sign and hold it up politely if you want to. You're allowed to do that, but that's about it. And so you'll get kicked out. You're allowed to have words on your shirt if you absolutely must, but they can't be anything that'll upset him. He'll kick you out. He has arrested and charged people literally for clapping in his court. I mean, literally for clapping. One person cussed because the topic of discussion was cussing, and she also got arrested and charged. And I think her trial is now going to the Texas Supreme Court. I mean, this man is ridiculous. And so now, of course, he's carried on. I mean, he's reducing taxes much below the rate that we need to even maintain our services. He killed our Human Services Department without even a vote. He fired all the Human Services employees before there was a vote, as if our Democratic commissioners' votes mattered, right? He was like, it won't matter. I'll just fire him first. It'll be fine. The racial gerrymander was all him. Adam Kincaid was the same lawyer that redrew our maps for the racial gerrymander that drew the maps for the state of Texas. So Adam Kincaid's name has been in the news all week because he's now in the
yes, I heard that. The El Paso court, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so Tim O'Hare was the open door for that, obviously. So it goes on and on. I could go on forever, but he's just a disgusting person. He constantly shuts down our commissioners, even speaking in court. He's completely dismissive and rude, and really vehemently hates people having an opinion. Oh, and our amazing election administrator, Hyder Garcia, quit under Tim O'Hare because he couldn't function under this man anymore, which I know most people have not met Hyder, but he was wonderful. And the fact that even he quit means Tim O'Hare was something else behind closed doors. So I think we're all really geared up to get this guy unelected.
All right, I'm there. How do I help? How do people help at home?
Thanks. Okay, so go to tarrantdemocrats.org and sign up for anything. So sign up to donate, to volunteer, to help out, whatever. It's an easy, beautiful new website that our volunteers created over the summer. And so we try to make it really easy to get connected with us, tarrantdemocrats.org. And there's all the links into saving the world via Tarrant County right there at your fingertips.
Other than Tim O'Hare, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for flipping seats?
So our countywides are our most flippable seats, and from the top of the bottom to the ballot, our county, like I was at the top of the show, we were talking about how we keep flipping blue just slightly at the very top for the statewide or the national candidate. So our countywides are most flippable, which is great for our judicial seats, our district clerk, county clerk, goes on and on. But we are really excited about some of our house districts are very flippable. So, HD 94, HD 96, it goes on, but there are several within striking distance. So we're looking to send quite a few more Democrats to the state house. And then maybe most importantly to the right now, which is, when will this show air? Do you guys know?
I don't know. Probably in a month.
In 2025.
Yeah. Okay. So I only asked because we have a special election going on. So whether it airs before that, it's okay. But our biggest, most important thing going right now is our special election for State Senate District 9. So Kelly Hancock bailed on his seat. He didn't even say, I won't run again. He just quit to go be the comptroller for Greg Abbott, leaving us with no state Senate representation for most of Tarrant County. This is a district that's only in Tarrant County and comprises most of the county. If you guys remember our state Senate, it's like heavily Republican, and Dan Patrick runs the show, and there's not enough people stand up to him. And SD9 has historically been held by a Republican. We've had a wonderful candidate in the past, Gwen Brood, who's moved that seat further to the left every year. And this year, she has ceded the way to a wonderful guy named Taylor Rehmet. And he is a veteran, a union president. He's the president of the statewide machinists union. And not only is he a great candidate running a great campaign, but we have a special opportunity because Kelly Hancock avoided his seat in the way he did. We have a jungle primary. So we have two far right MAGA Republicans fighting each other in this primary. And then we have Taylor coming up for the Democratic side, and he's the only Democrat. So we really have a chance to send somebody great to the state Senate. And not only would it be great to put a Democrat in the state Senate, but can you imagine the message? Can you imagine Fort Worth flipped a seat in the odd year, like Fort Worth, Texas? I mean, that would national
Stockyards. Yeah, that's that place. Yeah,
it would be huge. And
Cowboys.
I can't even imagine.
How does a jungle primary work compared to a typical election?
Great question. Okay, so normal years we have our regular primary. So all of the candidates of each party fight each other, and then they come out with a nominee, and then the nominees of the parties all go to the general election, right? In a jungle primary, none of that pre-work is done. So anybody who files shows up on the same ballot together. This happened in the CD6 election in 2021. There was a bunch of Republicans, Democrats on the same ballot, and they went to a runoff, and it ended up being between two Republicans. And so we are hoping, since there's only 3 candidates in this race and only one of them is Democrat, that we get over the edge and there's not even a runoff. That would just be Taylor right out would be a dream. That would be perfect. And I think it's doable.
So in addition to that race, what are you trying to do as a chair in the next 6 months to a year before the general election? Like, what are the things that you're trying to get the county to do?
We're trying to do like Democrats, but in general. So, it's really a very non-sexy 3-pronged approach, which is just hard work, which is sign up precinct chairs. So as we talked about, this is the best way to turn out Democrats because we need people to talk to their neighbors. We need to raise a ton of money. Tarrant County's typically gone underinvested in for decades. So we just need to create and maintain those donor relationships with Tarrant County. We have the donors here. They just usually donate outside of the county. They donate to statewide, donate to national. And I know everybody in Texas is trying to keep their money in the state. And we're on the way. We're on our way. And then finally is to, like we talked about before, is create those collaborations and relationships to make sure that we solidify the relationships between all of our community activists, between our organizations, between our candidates, elected officials, so that we're all working together as we pull towards the 2026 midterms. And I think all three of those things are going in the right direction. I see a lot of progress. I feel really good about it, but it will take a lot of hard work to see it to fruition.
I know. I just heard from some mutual friends that you had hosted recently a fundraiser and you raised a lot of money. And so tell us about that. Like, give us hope. Where is the progress being made that you see ahead of this midterm?
I'm going to use this as our barometer, which is even like the consultants and even the more establishment Democrats are starting to keep their money in Tarrant County and donate to the party or donate to organizations in the county. It doesn't have to be to me, but just to Democrats, I think that's a huge statement because, a lot of our established consultants or the more establishment Democrats, and I know, and the whole world knows, and they know too, because that's the way their business model works. They don't invest in things that aren't going to win. And so when we start seeing those people keep their money here in Tarrant or donate to the party or donate to candidates here locally, that's huge to me. Like that means these people who spend all of their time looking at predictions and, their magic 8 balls, they are seeing the magic here in Tarrant. And yeah, like our fundraiser in the fall in August went so well. And it was obviously my first fundraiser back as chair. And I have to give all the credit to Tiffany Burks, who ran it. And then our fundraising committee, Lynn Patton is my chair. And our fundraising committee who put it on, they made the magic. I stand up and ask for money in person, but it's the volunteers that are making things happen. And that's again, why I'm so optimistic is because all of our committees are bursting with volunteers and we need more. We have more jobs to do. Please sign up. But
Tarrant County Democrats.
Please come. We're very fun. But it's that.
Mimosas. Did I mention brunch and mimosas?
That's right. We're super
partying
cool.
In Tarrant County.
And some people like to wear cowboy boots while they do it. But
yes,
it is genuinely very optimistic. And we raised $70,000 or something at our fundraiser. And I know that's small potatoes compared to a Dallas fundraiser, but that's so much more ahead of where we were, and it's on the right direction and it's on the right trend and it's going to keep going up. And I'm super encouraged.
Do you ever do that kind of comparison of, okay, Dallas has this kind of stuff, I would like to have more of that, or Harris County, or because I hear Collin County is kind of up and coming, they may start flipping, I kind of see this as a competition, which county can flip the most first, and I would love to have a little competition amongst counties. Do you think of it that way?
I don't think of it in terms of a competition oh, did you get 2 more seats than me? Drat. No, every seat that we send to the state Senate or state house, thank goodness, right? But I do. I mean, I have a spreadsheet pulled up that says here's how much Dallas raised and here's how much they spent for this year. And that's true for Harris, Bear, Travis, Collin, Denton. I'm constantly comparing because, and then the point of that is to be well, what are they doing right that I could be doing better? And, I am getting on the phone with Cardall, who's the Dallas County chair, or any of the other chairs around Dallas County, or, the state party to be what are the resources that I'm not taking advantage of, or what are the strategies I'm not thinking of? And when you see obvious metrics that tell you how well somebody's doing, it's time to start figuring out what their playbook is. And how can I apply that to me? And I can't magically make more people vote Democrat with that effort, but I can see what their process is and try to replicate that. And that's
I think that's great. I think that's exactly the kind of thing you ought to be doing. I wonder though, do you think it'd be too different, 2 apples to oranges to maybe do the same thing you're already doing with counties in other states?
Sorry, can you restate?
I think about my dream kind of guest for this podcast would be folks who flipped seats. Yeah. Statewide seats in other states.
Right on.
Because everybody's done it more recently than we have.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Right.
I would love to have an Andy Bashir,
yes.
a Ruben Gallego, a John Ossoff, a Raphael Warnock.
Yes.
Who are these people who are getting elected on the same ballot as Donald Trump? right?
That is a good question.
I want to talk to these people and what are they doing? Because we need some of that.
I totally agree. And, I hadn't really thought
it's like the
about it.
Space Jam whenever you get Mike's secret stuff. Maybe it's not all that different. It's just water, but I want to believe it is because that's what's going to get us playing like we need to against the Monstars.
Yes, right? It's all about your mental attitude.
That's right.
But I'm glad you said that because I hadn't really thought about it that way in a while. Back when I ran Tarrant Together, which is our voter registration initiative, we did try to get in contact quite a bit with Stacey Abrams and her organization because they did so well in Georgia. I mean, what they did in Georgia was magical, and we absolutely wanted to copy that. And same thing, I became chair. Same thing. We're kind of like looking at the voter registration side of things. But I hadn't thought about that in a while, and I'm really glad you mentioned that because like now I need to be like chasing down some phone numbers. Like, let's see who we can talk to. That's a great point. Cool.
Going back to earlier, though, it seems like I feel like it's a matrix of what do we do? Do we turn out more persuadable voters? Do we register new voters? Or do we try to get the voters we already have? And it sounded like before we were talking that it seems like we have voters in Tarrant County. We just need to remind them to vote or get them out and make sure they understand that they should be voting. Is that how you're seeing things, like data-wise or even precinct level? Like you're like, okay, this precinct, I need to like turn these people out. Yeah. Like, is that something that you're doing?
Yeah, great question. And so, I think on a lot of candidates feel like they need to talk to those persuasion voters, those independents or moderate Republicans, which is fine. But like my only sole focus, whether it be as a party chair or as, a PAC leader or whatever, like is to turn out Democrats because we have so many. And that's like would make such a huge impact if we even if we didn't register a new voter, even if we got the people who are already registered to vote just to vote. I mean, that would be massive. So in Tarrant County, usually it's in thirds. So a third of the county votes and is registered to vote and votes, and a third of the county is registered and doesn't vote, and then a third of the county isn't registered, doesn't vote. And so only a third is actually active. I mean, that's wild. If we just got the best out to vote, it doesn't even matter if I knew what their partisanship was. By demographics, it would be a Democratic majority. And so I think, we as we keep going into this is we just need to keep investing in those and the turning out your neighborhoods. And I don't even care what their persuasion is. I don't care if we ever know it is because statistically it's likely that if we talk to enough people, we're going to be turning out a Democratic majority here in Tarrant. And that's going to have a huge impact on the state, obviously the county, but a huge impact statewide and countrywide if we can, achieve that mission. And now I'm thinking that I didn't really answer your question. Please restate it if I totally lost the plot.
No, yeah. Are there specific areas that you're thinking of in Tarrant County that you're like, okay, this is a lower turnout than other places? And I would imagine maybe I'm thinking of maybe suburbs or areas that care a lot about public school, South Lake, Keller. Is that sort of a target do you have?
Fortunately, this is where some of those organizations come into play, which is we have really strong Democrats that work in like House District 98, which is like South Lake, Keller, Grapevine. And they are super motivated because they live in such a red area. They are our top performing Democrats all the time. And so they consistently move their district bluer, even though it's like from 32 to 34%. We're still seeing like districts like that and cities like that move bluer while the rest of the county, in a given year might be static or regress. And so like in some of those areas, I know that they're kind of taken care of, right? Like they have great networks in those areas. And so that leaves the focus for me, which I've been saying since about 2017, is our 3 gerrymandered blue districts, which we have wonderful state house representatives in. I mean, they're just awesome. But the infrastructure has been undone for so long that these Democrats don't vote. So it's HD 90, 95, and 101. And so that is our urban core of Fort Worth, and then our southeast Tarrant, which is like Arlington, Mansfield. And these are really diverse areas, definitely majority minority. And they just, there's never any investment from outside of their own state reps who do invest in their communities, of course, but there's never any outside investment to get these people to vote. And so like just investing in those areas would be a huge benefit, not only to those communities to be civically engaged, but to, Democratic politics in general.
And which state representatives are those?
Nicole Collier is 95, Ramon Romero is 90, and Chris Turner is 101. And they're all amazing, and I'm so grateful for them. We just need to keep boosting their districts. I mean, they have walked the walk and worked the districts, but we need to keep investing. And then Salman Bojani is in HD 92. He's our other Democratic representative. And like I said, we just flipped his seat in 2022. So fortunately, it's not quite as it hasn't had the historic underinvestment that the other three have had.
So you would say they're not resting on their laurels, or they're activating their turf and putting the work in, not just because they can win their primary and be done. They're actually doing work in the general as well.
They could sit back if they wanted to. I mean, they're wildly popular, but they don't. They work super hard. They're always around their communities. They're always investing in their communities and standing up for them. They're always attending events. They're always holding town halls. They are engaged, awesome representatives who I'm so grateful for. And so it's our duty, I feel like, to give back and not only to them, but to their communities and the districts they represent, and to help turn out those voters.
All right. Well, Allison, thank you so much. This has been an incredible evening, and I appreciate you. I'll give you the last word. Where can people follow you? Because I plugged you earlier. So where can they follow you? And we heard your kids in the background. So what do you got going on outside of this big job that you got?
Okay, so if you want to follow me, I'm the only Allison Campolo, I think, on Earth, good for better or for worse. It's really easy to find me. So any platform, just search for my name. I'm the only one, unless I now have a doppelganger who's taken over. But usually you'll find me really easily. You can also just Google me. And then TarrantDemocrats.org is where I live on the party. And then what do I have going on outside of this? Well, I have 1,000 little children, so I just feel like but effort magnifies when you have kids. It's exponential. So
just cheaper by the dozen level of children.
Yes. So I play mom, I play wife, I play politics, I play work. I mean, it's a full life, But I'm really grateful for all the help. I mean, it takes a community to do anything you're doing, and certainly politics is part of that. It takes all of us to do what we want. So I'm grateful for everybody.
And they're the reason why we're doing it. Well, thank you, Allison. We're gonna sign off, and I'll say we'll see y'all next week, and God bless Texas.
You can follow us on all socials at Mission Texas Podcast. Email us at missiontexaspodcast@gmail.com. This episode is edited by Juan Jose Flores. Our music bumper is by Adam Pickerel, and our cover art is by Tino Sohn.